this anymore, but if they should even attempt to make sure that they contact people like myself and make sure that people are notified as to what is going to happen.
Representative John Shaw just joins us for a few minutes, representative from Tennessee, District 80. Sir, thank you for coming on with us.
Sure, you're welcome. Thank you for having me, Alex.
You bet. Now, we played the clip earlier of you on a local news station talking about Army checkpoints. The governor found out, thanks to you and others, and canceled it. Can you just in a nutshell tell us exactly, specifically what was going on?
Yes, I can. First of all, I have got to check. Now, I don't have concrete facts, but I don't think the military has, first of all, any jurisdiction to be checking seatbelts. When you look at the fact of a military unit being out, your daughter, my wife, or someone driving through a roadblock with all of these local officials, the Army and everybody out there, I think it's just going to scare people to death. I think our local and state officials have the staff when needed to check seatbelts, to do a seatbelt check without the Army getting involved. And I just don't think it's a good idea.
Well, obviously, sir, I don't know if you've heard, but yes, it still violates Posse Comitatus. They haven't completely removed that 1878 law. We know in Mexico and communist China, they have troops on the streets. This is a sign of a banana republic, of a third world police state. So that we don't want that. But the larger issue here is that they've announced Homeland Security wants to put 20,000 regular Army troops to patrol America. The Naval War College, the Army War College has said their new job will be engaging us, combat with the American people to stop an insurrection against the banks. So, A, are you aware of that? B, can you tell us specifically what units, why the Army was going to be out running checkpoints?
Well, I got this news late on Friday, and when I got the news, I immediately jumped on it to try to call some local authorities that I knew first to see what was going on. And when I made the call, I found out at that point in time that the governor had already made the decision to cancel this, and which I was very proud of that. But I am not aware of Homeland Security doing this. I did hear that they would be involved in this roadblock issue on last Friday, but I am not aware of the other part of the question that you asked.
Okay, specifically, though, when you talk to the local authorities, whose idea, where did it come from that regular Army is going to be out running checkpoints? I mean, a checkpoint is unconstitutional if you don't have warrants and it's random for the police to do. Now the Army? I mean, again, sir, this is suddenly happening everywhere. This is part of a larger plan. So we as detectives are asking you, any other little tidbits you've got about who was behind this?
Well, and I don't know, Alex. I can't answer that question other than the fact that it was going to take place in a little area of my district in a town called Whiteville, Tennessee, which would lead me to believe or to assume that the chief of police there was the one who orchestrated this idea.
Was the state involved?
Not to my knowledge at all.
Okay, so the governor had to say no. So this is what we always see. The Army then probably approached some locals as part of their covert acclimation program. And State Representative Johnny Shaw, we appreciate you speaking out against this. We appreciate the governor saying no to this. Can you, just in closing, speak to why you were concerned about it and against it?
Well, again, I was concerned because I think in this economic climate, or in this climate that we are in, well, can you imagine your wife, your daughter, my wife or daughter, even son driving up to a checkpoint with Homeland Security, the military police, the state police, if they were involved, and then, of course, all of your local authorities? It's going to make someone think something bad has happened in the community, and I just don't think this is a good idea. I think it would have been a scare tactic that would have been hard for some of our citizens to get over, or maybe some of our senior citizens, and I'm totally against this kind of a tactic, and I'm going to do my best as a state representative to see that this does not happen again in my district and hopefully nowhere in the state of Tennessee.
Now, this is being done to acclimate the public so they don't panic when troops take over the city hall, the county, the state. This is high treason. And Obama has taken all these new powers that Bush claimed and has expanded them day one. And suddenly the left that was against it isn't saying a thing. So that's part of the preparation. Guardsmen to conduct urban training at Arcadia in April. This is going on, scaled back now. It says in this article, going door to door, asking if they can search homes looking for weapons. And they practice raiding the local gun shop. And this is for domestic operations. Lieutenant Colonel, I really appreciate you coming on such short notice, sir.
My pleasure. Thanks for the invitation.
You bet. I saw this article out of the Daily Times Herald in Carroll, Iowa. Have you seen that?
I sure have.
And it's telling us about an urban warfare drill to be held in several towns. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. It's actually a planned training event to provide our soldiers with greater proficiency at what we call cordon and search, which is a mission that, just for a little background, we've deployed nearly 13,000 members of the Iowa National Guard in the global war on terror. And the vast majority of those have been in Iraq and Afghanistan. And one of the missions that they perform in Iraq and Afghanistan on multiple occasions is cordon and search, where basically you are trying to get to an area, cordon it off to make sure everything's safe, and then actually search for caches of weapons or other kinds of contraband which could harm American forces and other
like Fallujah, forces. What we saw in
Correct.
Fallujah.
Mm-hmm. Correct. Exactly. So because of where we're located in Iowa, there are no active duty bases in Iowa, so we kind of have to create our own urban training environments. So the plan on this particular training event was to actually use a small town of about 450 people. The town has actually kind of adopted the unit, which is called Company A, 1st Battalion, 168th Infantry, and they were more than willing to participate in the exercise.
Going through this article, I mean, explaining exactly what they're going to do door to door with the houses, what the checkpoints are going to be simulating.
Sure. When you're talking about cordon and search operations, you've got several different rings of security that you've got to provide in a particular area. And then it's important that people are treated respectfully as you go house to house, as you're looking for certain items, particularly in our experience in Afghanistan and Iraq, looking for weapon caches, whether those have AK-47s, RPGs, rocket-propelled grenades, that is, any kind of ammunition or any kind of improvised explosive devices, et cetera, et cetera. And our job, when we go on a cordon search, is to locate those kinds of items. And then there might also be persons of interest that we're interested in that coalition forces want to talk to or apprehend.
Well, let's just boil it down to this. I have video of Army and Marines with role players screaming, "I'm an American, please don't put me in the camp," and the military trying to confiscate their firearms. I mean, certainly you've heard the Army Times and the new directive from Secretary of Defense Robert Gates that they will use the National Guard under federal control for civil insurrection. Are you saying you're not aware of that?
No, I'm certainly aware of that, absolutely. But I think you have to look at the role of the National Guard historically. Is that historically we are used in states for disasters overwhelmingly. And our job is to, number one, be ready for our mission federally, which is to go to war. And number two is to help our fellow citizens here in the United States of America. Those
But
are
the Army
things that we prepare for and train for.
The Army War College 3 weeks ago issued a report saying they're shifting a lot of their focus to engaging the American people and directives on engagement with the American people under NORTHCOM.
Well, you got to remember that the National Guard, 99% of the time, if you're talking about peacetime, belongs to the state in which they are located. Only on occasion do they become federalized. One of those examples, of course, is being mobilized and deployed to go to war or peacekeeping or other kinds of federalized missions. But other than that, the National Guard generally in peacetime belongs to the governor of that state.
Well, you're pretty informed on all these issues. Obviously, you're right in the middle of it. Did you hear about the mainstream news articles about Marines in California and other places helping at DWI checkpoints with citizens? Would that violate Posse Comitatus?
I'm not aware of that. With respect to active duty military, that's called Title 10 when you're on active duty, and they're not allowed to participate in certain kinds of operations under the Posse Comitatus Act.
Does that sound like freedom to you all over the country to have the National Guard at big events like at the Kentucky Derby and the Super Bowl searching bags?
Well, I think if you're talking about keeping Americans safe, it's our job to do whatever we can to help them with that. And if our job happens to be to detect weapons of mass destruction or other kinds of things that could harm a great deal of people, that's what we do.
Now, here's your Pentagon Channel report.
The Kentucky National Guard was part of the massive security force required for this weekend's Kentucky Derby. Officials say that 360 Guard members were on hand at Churchill Downs to help support law enforcement efforts for the first leg of horse racing's Triple Crown. Now, the troops took care of crowd and traffic control, provided 3 choppers and crews for aviation support. Officials at the track said that more than 150,000 fans turned out for the race. Police only had to make 44 arrests.
International media, government staffers, and protesters.
Thousands of them, all waiting for the G20 summit to begin.
World leaders arriving in Pittsburgh for the G20 summit are finding a city on lockdown and already hit by violence.
By order of the City of Pittsburgh Chief Police, I hereby declare this to be an unlawful assembly. I order all those assembled to immediately disperse.
The G20 basically represent the largest nations which participate in the Western banking cartel, which I feel is behind a lot of the pain, anguish, and misery that exists in our world today.
They would like to come up with one central bank for the world to replace the dollar standard, and also have international regulation, a massive expansion of the WTO regulations into the financial markets.
You must leave the immediate vicinity. If you remain in this immediate vicinity, you will be in violation of the Pennsylvania Crimes Code, no matter what your purpose is.
It's hard that it's setting up as like a us versus them when we're all in the same class. We're in it together, and they're protecting the interests of the world's billionaires. Anytime I've been on a march or anytime I've been arrested, it has been peaceful on our side. It's the state are the ones that cause the violence.
You must leave. If you do not disperse, you may be arrested and or subject to other police action. Other police action may include actual physical removal, the use of riot control agents and or less lethal munitions.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is breaking news. Do you know why my crew is not live with us right now, why they were out of contact? They are under sustained LRAD sound cannon attack. They rolled these out at tea parties in California and other places. First time I saw them was 2004 in New York. They have the National Guard engaging American citizens right now with deadly acoustic weapons that damage the middle ear. This is happening right now in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, while the G20 in mainstream news is getting rid of the dollar, bringing in world government against everybody right now. Listen, this is such a police state there that they tried to talk to the military and talk to a spokesman last night. Defense Link put a press release out, and they said, no, we're not going to talk to you, get out of here. Then they got their license number, had the police pose as Alamo rental car people from the county there, Allegheny County in Pennsylvania. They called them and said, your car's got no brakes, bring it in. And they said, well, we're in the cordon at G20, we're news reporters, we can't get out till tomorrow. And they said, well, that's fine, because I'm a police officer with the Army and FBI, and you've all been put on terror list, and your life's over, boy, and we know you're a terrorist, and you were sneaking around the military base and ran. All lies.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I just went over. They're going to have a guy come out and talk to us, or they said they'll get us a number to contact. I think he said the PAO. This is probably him right here.
Every 30 seconds, saying, disperse, disperse. We've got them. Let's go to live now. Here they are from Pittsburgh. G20 under attack.
Yeah, we're on 33rd and Liberty, and we just passed they had the street blocked off, and they were using the sonic weapon on us. They were using it to broadcast, and then they would ramp up the signal for a brief second to let them know that they could, blow some eardrums out. It got pretty loud.
I hereby declare this to be an unlawful assembly. I order all other police action to include actual physical removal, the use of riot control.
Everybody dispersed, though, when that started happening. The largest group went through an alleyway. They're driving right past me right now.
Get them on tape.
With the guns. They had 2 of them. They were using them to broadcast messages in Spanish and English. That's the engine right now. You can hear it passing me. And there's a guy sitting on top. The police I'm seeing now are in full riot gear.
Are they the police, though, wearing the National Guard bottoms?
It looks like Border Patrol. I've seen Border Patrol here, too. They have the dark green Border Patrol uniforms.
So federal police in the middle of Pennsylvania.
I find it very ironic that it's happening on Liberty Avenue. Very ironic.
Burmis, I want to be clear about this. They were shooting you guys with this. Douglas was saying it was hurting. What was this like?
The decibel level was very, very high. One moment I was covering the front of the protest. The next moment my eardrums were blasting. And as that happened, I basically turned around, saw about 40 riot police assisted by military, and I ran up and I got all the footage I could. Every once in a while I'd have to take
There
a
you
few
go,
steps back.
assisted by military. So this is the military attacking the American people, because in every news article I see, they're together. So that's key for the article Watson's doing. The military was with them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they were in military fatigues. SWAT is also here. I got a good shot of one of the military personnel who was on top of the Pittsburgh paddy wagon. Basically, most of the Humvees in the military were cordoning off at checkpoints on main streets in the main city of Pittsburgh. They were in full military fatigues. I mean, these weren't just the pants; they were the tops. There's no doubt that there's military here, Alex. I approached them. I asked them what their mission was.
What's the mission? You can't say. Sir, what would you have to say to critics that say this is a violation of Posse Comitatus?
I would say that you need to talk to my PAO.
You know what Posse Comitatus is?
No.
No? Separation of military and police? Be the first military guy to tell me what it is. I've asked about a dozen today. No, but nothing, right?
And it was the standard boilerplate answer of, you know, we're just following orders.
We're just here to support law enforcement. That's all we know.
We're here to protect United States citizens' rights to a peaceful protest.
Unbelievable. Global leaders meeting openly in mainstream news to get rid of the dollar and bring in, quote, global governance. This is the end of our country, and the police and the military are acting like people that don't like it are pure scum and terrorists because the DHS has trained them to do that.
Here come the anarchist staging. Here they come right now. They just grabbed the dumpster. They're flipping it over.
Video it!
I got it on tape right now.
Oh, I don't want to put you in danger, Jason, but if you follow that stinking Fed, is it a big guy?
It was 3 people, and of course they had masks on, Alex.
Briefly, tell folks about last night. You guys pull up to the gate. You asked to talk to the public information officer. They called the police and lied and said that you were sneaking around.
Yes, sir. How's it going? We were responding to a news story that the National Guard was going to be masked to go into Pittsburgh. And can we get a comment on that?
Sorry, we can't make any comments, sir.
Do you have a press guy we can talk to?
Call PAO.
We then pulled off to the side of the road where they instructed us to. We waited around 15 or 20 minutes. A representative came back. Immediately, he was hostile towards us. He did not like our credentials.
Hey, guys.
Hey, good evening, sir.
What's up? Look out your head.
How you doing? My name's Rob.
Okay.
We're out of Austin, Texas, Channel 10.
Okay, can I see your credentials?
We tried to get as much information as we could. He refused to answer our questions. So then Rob asked him for his information and where we could contact him tomorrow if we could get a word with him. He then gave it, and we left.
Speech, freelance reporter.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what are you looking for?
Well, we're following up on a report that we got, and it's that we read. It said there's 2,500 troops that are going to be deployed into Pittsburgh for the G20 for security.
Once again, do you have? I'd like to talk to your editor. I'm more than willing to do this. So you got somebody back at the station I can talk to? You guys have credentials for the G20? I can't. The middle of the night, you come here tomorrow. We'll see what we can accommodate you. We're not going to.
I mean, we only got a few questions, man.
Yeah, we just have like 4 questions.
The answer's no. Not going to comment. No, I'm not. That's okay. We're going to deny the interview. If you get some credentials, you get some that I can work with, I'll do the interview.
We didn't run away from anything. By the time that we had left, turned around, and exited the main military facility, there was another car parked on the other side of the road, waited for us to pass, followed us for an exit, then got off. And then we were shocked when Douglas got a call trying to entrap him and have us go return our rental car for quote-unquote 2 more free days. When we didn't fall for that, he then came clean and said he was actually military personnel, and he wanted to know whether or not we were terrorists, Alex.
And then he told Douglas, you're on a list now, pal, for the rest of your life.
Yeah, he did.
With pleasure. You ran from them. Is that true?
Absolutely not.
Can I have your name and number so we can call you tomorrow?
Sure.
Okay.
17821.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Cleaver.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
I need all info warriors, anyone in the Northeast, anybody in the Midwest, to go to Pittsburgh now with video cameras. The troops are bought and paid for by offshore banks. The Republic is falling right now. They are openly destroying our precious Republic right now. They are openly bringing in martial law. They have troops deploying in every major city. This is just another beta test. We need everybody to go to Pittsburgh who loves this country. Come with cameras, radio host. Everybody needs to get there and needs to expose these people. And we need people to follow the anarchists. They're going to go back to military installations. It's happened in every case. We proved it in Denver. We proved it in Ottawa. We proved it in Seattle. We proved it in London. We proved it in Genoa. We prove it every time.
Have got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. Undercovers in the back have got to go. Hey, hey. Take me. Hey, ho, ho. Undercovers in the back have got to go. I think it's funny to mock our first right? You think that's funny? Remember Kent State. Remember Kent State. Remember Kent State. Remember Kent State.
So you guys take an oath to protect the Constitution, but you're blocking peaceful protesters. My son never did anything like this to his own people.
Hey, Alex.
Cindy, you've now been hit by the Army and police. This is like Kent State with sound weapons. This is huge news, and it's nowhere on TV. Cindy, tell us what happened.
We're just trying to get to downtown so we can exercise our freedom of speech, Alex. And you know they're blocking peaceful protesters. We don't have any weapons. They're blocking us with the most disastrous, horrible weapons that they can think of. And so yeah, it's just really awful down here.
They have your LRAD. The LRAD was used in Iraq and Afghanistan against insurgents. You're now using these weapons against the American people. How do you feel about that?
This is all about training you that you're not supposed to protest and demonstrate. That's why the police pose as anarchists in every case. They've been caught over and over again. This is how the Republic falls, with the stormtroopers in the streets and the world leaders coming to our country to sell it out and the mainstream news reporting it.
You guys are hurting your own people.
I order all those assembled to immediately disperse.
Cindy, did you know they're openly announcing the formation of a world government at this meeting?
Yes, I know they are.
The head of the EU even spoke out against it, Klaus, at the UN yesterday, and they're openly announcing the end of the dollar. Those troops don't know that their whole savings and their whole family future is gone, and there they are with pleasure, guarding the very government that is illegitimate and criminal.
The troops are out here. There are our brothers and sisters, there are sons and daughters, and there are mothers and fathers, and they're turning their guns on us. They're turning their weapons on us, where we really should be marching to the G20 and arresting those guys. Here they come again with their LRAD, Alex. They're coming with it. They have us blocked in. There's nowhere for us to go.
This is what police state looks like.
By order of the City of Pittsburgh Chief of Police, I hereby declare this to be an unlawful assembly. I order all those assembled to immediately disperse. You must leave the immediate vicinity. If you remain in this immediate vicinity, you will be in violation of
Burmis, yes, sir. Did you say that the protesters are turned around because they're blocked in?
Yes, they are blocked in.
Run! Get out! I told you! Go down the side street, get the hell out of there, they're gonna get you! Get out of there right now!
By order of the Chief of Police, clear this area, or you are subject to arrest.
Jason, are you there? Amazing to have Burmis and Cindy Sheehan and all these people together. They're standing against tyranny. She lost her son. And the military will follow orders, and that's all this is. And there are the bankers openly setting up world government, bankrupting us by design. It's really happening. Well, here's the Examiner newspaper reporting on these sound weapons at the tea parties. It says both town halls took place with without incident. However, the use of military device concerned San Diegans. The LRAD crowd control is primarily used in Iraq to control insurgents and can cause serious and lasting harm to humans. And they admit this. I mean, this is just outrageous.
Other police action may include actual physical removal, the use of riot control agents and/or less lethal munitions, which could cause risk of injury to those who remain. You must leave.
We have units coming up through the park. Pushing towards the park. This is how we're going to push them. After we get the encirclement, we're going to push them down forward back towards Chemley Drive Extension. Leave Chemley Drive Extension open so we continue to push. Then we'll establish a skirmish line along Chemley Drive Extension. There was a little miscommunication on my order, but now we're attempting a encirclement in the park.
The police began to charge following the initiation of a tactic they called kettling. So called as to reflect the purpose of a kettle, to hold in water and heat it until it attempts to boil over.
They're closing in. Get out of there. They're going to arrest everybody. And the police, he said, at the last thing, were coming from 3 ways, blocking them in. That's what they do. They corner you and then attack.
Stand by for gas deployment. We're setting that up along Melville. Any units, we have 5th Avenue covered. Unit 30, I'd like to express my professional regard to everyone. They did an excellent job down here.
Remember that's a young girl right there.
In all the operations G20.
Now, let's go ahead and go over these articles. Brigade Homeland Tour starts October 1st. 3rd Infantry's 1st BCT trains for new dwell time mission. Helping people at home may become a permanent part of active Army. And then you read this, the Washington Post reported it, everybody else did. It says, for riot control and civil unrest during a collapse of society. Then the Army War College came out a month later and said, yes, we're preparing to engage the American people. So there's that going on. So they have to have troops to take you to the FEMA camps. Washington Post, 20,000 more U.S. troops to be deployed for domestic security. They then expanded and said it won't be 4,000 troops, it'll be 20,000. Now they're saying, oh, it'll be 40,000 regular Army troops. The very troops that were in Baghdad doing gun confiscation, the very best troops they've got. Here's another one. Marines admit security force to operate inside U.S. This directly from the Marine Corps' own website. And they did it with role players, practicing confiscating people's guns. Here's another one. Unit learns skills to fight different enemy. And this is out of the American Force Press Service. See, this is all part of acclimation. And then in a 4-state area in the Midwest a few months ago, there was a report about the Army suddenly locking down parts of cities and doing, and then the disgraced Governor Blagojevich announced about 5 months ago before he had that big scandal, and we played the newscast here where he said we're going to have the Army go door to door confiscating guns in Illinois. And then we have the first time the Army got called into New Orleans going to the high and dry areas with the police and FBI. All the weapons will be taken. No one will be allowed to be armed. And then putting people in handcuffs that had guns, taking their guns.